Dear colleagues, friends, welcome to our webinar, the first webinar in the series. I hope all you can hear me loud and clear. Loud, loud and clear. Um, I'm really happy to welcome you here, and we have quite a lot of participants today, as you can see, and people are coming and joining. That's very, very good. And well, today we start a very new event, which is covered by MATRIZ, the International TRIZ Association. Most of you know what it is. And I would like to give a word to the head of MATRIZ, TRIZ Research and Development Council, who is here with us today, TRIZ Master Victor Fay. Victor, are you here?
I believe I am.
Yes, you are. Please.
Yes. Thank you, Valerie. Hello, everyone. Let me thank you on behalf of the MATRIZ TRIZ Research and Development Council for finding the time to attend our first seminar in this new webinar series called New Development in TRIZ. As people are joining this webinar, let me steal a few minutes from Valerie's presentation and tell you a little bit about our council. Just a few words. So the TRIZ Research and Development Council, TRDC for short, it's an organizational unit of MATRIZ, and we work out and implement MATRIZ policy in the field of further development of TRIZ. Originally, it was formed by TRIZ Master Simon Litwin back in 2012. The board of this council represents different schools and directions in TRIZ and composed of leading TRIZ researchers and practitioners. We have several goals. Let me just list, excuse me, a few of them. First of all, we are charged with the identification and expertise of new prospective TRIZ tools. We provide methodological expertise of TRIZ materials upon request of MATRIZ president, MATRIZ board, and Council of Expertise and Methodology. We have been busy with putting together a unified TRIZ terminology. I hope you can, many of you at least, can appreciate the potential value of this effort. We also are charged with the development and regular update of the MATRIZ recommended document, excuse me, TRIZ body of knowledge. One such document had been published several years ago, and we're now in the process of putting together an updated version of it. And we also putting much effort in the development and regular update, again, of another MATRIZ recommended document, main directions of TRIZ development. Presently, we have 6 members of our council. In alphabetical order, they are all of us are TRIZ masters. Alla Zusman, United States, Sergei Logvinov, Russia, Alexander Lubomirsky, USA, Viktor Minaker, Russia, Valeri Souchkov, our host today, from the Netherlands, and myself, USA. Our recent initiative is this webinar series on new developments in TRIZ and our aim is twofold. First of all, we would like to acquaint a broad audience of TRIZ specialists with what we consider the most viable trends and challenges in modern day TRIZ. And second, but not least important, goal is to invite more people to what we would like to have a comprehensive discussion of these new trends in the development of TRIZ, and encourage our colleagues to actively participate in their future development. If you have any questions about our council, you can send me an email, or you can find our coordinates on MATRIZ website. And without much ado, Valeri, the podium is yours.
Okay, just a second. Very good.
Valeri, you are muted.
True. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you very much, Victor, for your introduction and explanation, who we are and what we do, and what we struggle to do. And we hope that you probably have noticed that those who know MATRIZ, that all TRIZ masters who are in the council, we are representing different TRIZ schools, not one TRIZ school, and that was done specifically when we decided who would be members of our TRDC council. All right, so we have a little bit limited time today, and I'm happy to say that we reached 100 participants, which is rather cool, and already 101. So we probably might have now the biggest TRIZ online event. I had one event with 120 participants, but not at a single point of time. So I'm really, really happy that you are here today, and I'm willing to share with you a story about something that is probably not much on the news or on media, but in the meantime, it's been really evolving and capturing a lot of attention of people from all over the world. And the topic of my presentation today is, let me share the screen, that will be easier. Well, as you already know, it's called TRIZ Approach in Services. Basically, originally this presentation was supposed to be a kind of update for people who have, let's say, level 3 MATRIZ and higher. But then we decided that why not to share it around the world for those who are interested in TRIZ and have lower levels or are not certified by MATRIZ. So why not? To get your feedback and to let you know what is going on. So, and since this area has been already evolving a lot, that would be difficult to focus on one or another part. You know, usually webinars like seminars are delivered to highlight certain points which require attention, which require further development, which indicates some gaps and so on. But in this presentation, since we deal with a rather large area, I would like to make an overview. And I did this presentation in a way that should be understandable to people who already have a lot of experience with TRIZ, and to those who also are new to TRIZ. This presentation will take 1 hour 20 minutes from now, and then there will be 30 minutes, half an hour, dedicated to your questions and supposedly my answers. So let's start. And of course, if you have, yes, if you probably noticed, this event is conducted in a sort of a meeting environment, which means that everyone has access to microphone, unlike a webinar. So everybody can speak out loudly. So please keep your microphones muted. Well, you also can show your video. We maybe make some picture afterwards. I mean, your picture on a small size, of course. Please keep your keep your microphones out. And if you have some questions which emerge during this main presentation, please pose them to the chat window. I have several monitors here. I also have a special screen for a chat window, so they won't be missed, I guarantee. Right, let's move ahead. Okay, so now, what will be the contents of my presentation? First of all, what is a definition of service innovation? Second, we will have a quick look at the TRIZ and service innovation, state of the art. We will look at the key areas of applications, what processes and tools are being used today to innovate services in a systematic way with TRIZ. Also, this small part will be dedicated special to systematic innovation of service offerings. Here, I would like to go a little bit more in depth. And well, of course, finally, summary and questions and answers. So let's have a look at the introduction into the services and innovation in general. Before we go to that, I would like to show you the picture I draw, which shows evolution of TRIZ. Well, most of people still believe that TRIZ is contradiction matrix and 40 principles, and maybe something like function analysis. However, TRIZ today is developing along several directions. A classical TRIZ was created in 1956. Yeah, that's what we call today classical TRIZ, is actually refers to a classical period from 1956 to, let's say, 1985. Actually, that was a period when Altshuler was deeply involved into development of engineering TRIZ. However, as you can see, somewhere in the middle of 80s, there were started two other developments. First of all, as you know, Altshuler moved to create theory of creative personality development. Also, some other researchers like Boris Lutin, Alla Zussman, also Igor Vikentiev in St. Petersburg, started exploring how TRIZ principles and core paradigms can be used in a non-technical, non-engineering areas. For example, for evolution of organizations, also for advertisement and public relations. Also, you can see that two more directions evolved, like TRIZ pedagogy and OTSM TRIZ. I guess you heard about it. You also can find some papers and book, which is the generalization of TRIZ idea. OTSM stands for power theory of thinking. So basically, this is a way how we should think in a power way. Well, and I would call that 1999 has been launched more extended application of TRIZ in the areas of business and management, not just dedicated to organizations or advertisement and public relations. And here we are also talking about the services. There was someone says in the chat, Alexander, I still see the title slide of your presentation only. Could you please tell me, can you see my slide at this moment, a big slide?
I can see just
we can see
the
TRIZ.
Sorry? Once again?
I can see your slides.
You can see the whole slide, yes, with red things.
Yes, we can see it. I think he needs to just log off and log in again.
Yeah, most likely, most likely. So Alexander, please, I think you have to change something. Other people can see it well. Maybe you should somehow change the screen, a presentation mode, a right upper button in Zoom. Also might be. All right. Or just log in again. Okay. Well, I started my work with TRIZ for business and management. Well, I started my career in TRIZ, comes from 1987. So it's been already more than 30 years, but definitely I worked with engineering TRIZ. By education, I'm a computer science engineer. So computer science engineers, that's how it sounds. That's strange a little bit. But I had quite experience with management roles in different companies, also TRIZ-based companies, of course. But in 2003, I started slightly to experiment with TRIZ for business and management. And somewhere by 2014, we created already a whole package of training courses and consulting offerings for TRIZ and business. So you can see here very different areas where I delivered my TRIZ trainings, dedicated or consulting projects dedicated to purely using business innovation. You can see here India, China, Belarus, China, India, sorry, Taiwan, Germany, Russia, Iceland. Don't remember, sorry. Anyway, and this business, part of my business, had been steadily growing. Let's say in 2003, even 2003, I spent 10% of my time with TRIZ for business and management. Now I spend 90% of my engagement with TRIZ for business and management. It's just a map. What happened in the last pandemic year when during 1 year, usually I used to travel every second week. Every second week, I was in the airport taking an international flight. Last year, I only once moved from my house for 20 kilometers for the entire 12 months. But anyway, I used to work online, and you can see the map here of my customers. This is both technical and non-technical, but again, exactly statistics shows that last year, I had customers from 35 countries, 70 cities, and 90% of them were from business management, and primarily they were focusing on services. In the end, I will show you the market segmentation of my service businesses. Well, why services? Well, this picture clearly shows it. If you look at the developed countries today and how developing countries are moving, we all know that engineering moves more and more to automation, more and more to AI and so forth. And the number of consulting services and economy is really getting large. Like if you look at the US output is 77.7% of economy. If you look at the Netherlands, we also have it, like in services, we have 82% of employment force. We have only 15% in industry, and we have less than 2% in agriculture, which is fantastic because you know that the Netherlands is the second largest exporter of agriculture in the world. We export 110 billion euros per year. We are second after the United States, 130 billion. But it's not just because of the production. It's also because huge innovations in the delivery, logistics, and other sort of service environment which had been created here in the country. So services, very important. What sort of services exist? Well, maybe it's easier to say is that anything that is not production are services. You see, business functions. Well, you have all this accounting, you have all these audits, etc., etc., etc. Financial services, logistics, information services, cleaning, patronage, repair, maintenance, construction, dispute resolution, education. Whole education is service. A special area of services is distinguished for fabric care because we have huge number of hotels, clothing, etc., which need to clean the fabric and so on. Food service industry, healthcare, and so forth and so forth. Of course, you know, social services and entertainment. Well, also you look death care. Well, everybody dies, you know, and we have 7 billion people on this planet today, even more. So that's huge areas. Okay. Now, let's speak about innovation. All my life, when I started, 30 years, 24/7, I work with TRIZ and innovation. And of course, when you look at technology and engineering, what do we innovate? We innovate our technical products, right? Well, it could be vacuum cleaner, it could be a car, it could be a ship, it could be a satellite, anything which is tangible and well, operates, consumes energy, real energy, and so on. Also, a lot is done in the innovation of manufacturing technologies. It is how we produce the products. But if you look at the business management innovation, its scope is broader. First of all, well, there are business systems. These are, simply speaking, companies, right? Organizations, which produce either services, which deliver either services or produce some goods. Here we can innovate the organization itself, a business system. We also can innovate the business processes which are occurring in that system. But also we can innovate business products. When I say business product, I primarily mean services, right? 80% of my business today is training, right? And well, I deliver training, that's 100% service, right? So it's a business product of my company. I also deliver consulting, I also deliver coaching, but these are separate products. Of course, they use all the same resources of, let's say, my brain, my availability, and so on. But anyway, these are typical products of services. And we distinguish three different levels, or consider by power of innovation, power of a solution that you create. Those are, first of all, incremental innovation. If you remember Altshuler, you might think about levels 1 to 3, let's say. These are not significant, but it's something that we create every day. We also can speak about disruptive innovation. Actually, there are several meanings of disruption innovation you can find in the literature. But I accept disruptive innovation as an innovation that critically reduces costs, which also influences price, while preserving other qualities of your products or your service. So you do not really improve some parameters like power, speed, performance, but you cut costs. You disrupt the existing industry. So disruptive innovation can only happen in the existing industry. And there are also radical breakthrough innovations are those that create totally new industries, totally new areas. Like, well, for instance, if you take Uber, right? It is not a radical innovation because you still have the same taxi driver, etc., etc., etc. What you bring a new platform which can radically cut costs for your taxi service. This is disruptive innovation. But if you launch the first satellite to space, the first one, 1959, this is radical breakthrough innovation. You are not disrupting anything. You are creating a new value by creating a new industry. This is important to keep in mind when we speak about different kinds of innovations. Major areas of innovation. Well, we are talking about service innovation, of course. These are intangible services. Well, typical service is a lawyer. Well, he doesn't need any tools, only pen and paper. Second, a huge area is a human care services. We are talking about healthcare here. Product care services. You have a car, right? Something breaks in your car, you bring it to service. Next, you got product and service combination, where product and service play both critical roles into delivering value and creating value. Well, one of my favorite examples is I love music, and of course, I was one of the first owners of MP3 player. That was a Sony player back in 1999, and it could record 32 megabytes of songs. So basically, I could have only 8 songs at my player, but I was really happy because it was really breakthrough innovation. And but afterwards, of course, I changed several players. A problem emerged: where to get songs. That was very difficult to get songs online unless you visit some pirate sites. And 2003, a revolution happened that Apple came up with iPod. But iPod was not just iPod. It was a combination, iPod plus iTunes. So you got product and service combination. Actually, by the end of 2003, the iPod captured 90% of American market. So although there were dozens of other cheaper players, just because it could connect. And the final is sort of innovation, which is extremely important and evolving today, what I call platform ecosystems. These are not one or two or three. It is a whole system of services which is based on a specific platform. But I guess you know what I mean. I will show you some examples later. Now, what you can innovate when you speak about a service. Let's imagine you're a training company like me. Definitely, that's yellow big circle means shows my company. And in my company, there could be people, there could be assets, different sorts of, and of course, it only operates when I have business process. If I don't have business process established, well, I cannot operate effectively, neither effectively nor efficiently. But of course, my company creates some value proposition, a service for the customer. But I cannot create it myself. Well, I work with suppliers, I work with partners, and so on. So you see, and also, well, I communicate with the state because there are tax office, there are regulations, there are many, many, many other things. I put red circles anywhere where you can actually innovate. So the whole thing where your company is in, we call today your business ecosystem. Which consists not only from businesses, but also you see customers, state, and some systems which might not be business systems. For example, State University, right? Well, I also teach lectures at State University here. And definitely you've got to present the sort of links between them. We often refer to business model. Unfortunately, today there are no, even if you look at the Osterwalder business canvas, I might not say that it's successful. It's good, it's nice, it's simple, but in my opinion, this is not the best that could be. And I guess in TRIZ, we are coming up with a better model. But that's not the topic of this presentation. Well, this is business canvas, I'm sure you're familiar with. So what is innovation? You deliver a certain service, you have suppliers, you have resources, and then you can create certain functions. So for instance, I have to train people, right? So my customers are my students of all ages, from let's say 17 to 120. And to deliver my service, to satisfy goals, to meet requirements of my customer, which is satisfying his goals, I have to deliver a number of functions, which I deliver through certain processes. Well, and definitely these functions meet certain main parameters of value, as we call them, within a certain context. So any service creates its own revenue stream by adding value. Depending on the situation, the service usually is based on, first of all, you have a process, which is business internal process, which are happening inside your business, and external process, which are happening outside. Basically, these are your relations with your customer. Well, also outside process could be relations with your suppliers. And there are 4 big blocks, which we should never forget. These are our resources on basis of which we make this business possible. It's equipment, it's facilities, it's people, and it's information. I distinguish 5 categories of service innovation. First of all, again, it's an internal innovation. This is a business system innovation, where we innovate organization and management issues, where we innovate process, where we innovate platform on the basis of which everything is organized. And certainly a huge area in business are cost issues. But then again, this is not This doesn't concern our customer. With a customer, we have something different. We have a value proposition innovation. This is when we innovate our value, our positions, our business products, which we deliver to customers. Well, very simple thing. There might be many parameters of it. For example, I used to deliver a certain courses of a certain level within 10 days. I applied some innovation, and now the same course requires 5 days. So basically, it cuts time for a student to learn the same material, to acquire the same skills twice faster, which is a really good progress. Innovation is always about either drastically increasing some existing parameter of value, main parameter of value, or creating a new parameter of value. I will show you the picture later on. And also creating a new service, which had not existed in the past. So this is when we speak about value proposition innovation. There are, again, two sides of it. First, either improving what we have or creating radically or totally new services. Now I wanted to show you what is a market segmentation, in particular to my company within the last, let's say, 10 years. What are customers interested in? And here I'm talking only about service companies, which are customers of my company. Well, business product innovation, it is value proposition innovation, 27%, and 73% are business system innovation. What it means, when the customers come to me, they have certain requirements, they have certain ideas, what they want to improve, or they come with problems and challenges. And in 73%, they want to innovate their internal structure or their structure which goes before delivery of the business product or service to the customer. Yeah, it could be internal business process. It could be oh, sorry, that should be 73%. Sorry, that's right. Well, we can connect it. Oh, what happened? Yeah, I see. No worries. It's all coming back. Yes, you are right. Well, okay. I will do these cosmetics later. Right. Well, there are nothing else. There is anything else. If you speak about innovation, it's either value proposition innovation or business system innovation. When I speak about innovation of your company relationships with, say, your partners, this is also belongs to the internal business system innovation. Okay, so what happens in the area of services and TRIZ? When you Google or when you go to, let's say, ResearchGate and so on, type services and TRIZ, you come up with, well, 5 papers. And that I'm talking about since 1999, basically. So that's absolutely ridiculous. There is nothing. That's what I found. Well, why is it so? Well, definitely, I blame myself, of course. I used to, probably, if you go to my website, xtriz.com, and you have publications, more than 100 publications in magazines, books. But unfortunately, there is so much pressure, development and business pressure in the last years, as it's so difficult to write papers. Also blame myself, but also I'm curious what is happening that very, very little publications, very few publications, but you usually judge about the success of your business, of your area by publications. Okay. So we keeping it as a secret, but not intentionally, what I must say, definitely not. Okay, now let's start with very, very basics. Well, of course, modern TRIZ, like I already mentioned, it's not just solving contradictions with 40 principles. This is much more. And first of all, when we speak about TRIZ and its difference from other, let's say, methods of new product or new service development, we are talking that TRIZ has a systematic a foundation which is based on a system approach and systematic approach. What it means? There are two things when we say the word systematic. On one hand, TRIZ introduces systematic processes, right? They are based on a systematic approach. Like you use those 40 principles in a systematic way because you have a matrix of contradictions. But on the other hand, TRIZ is based on a system. And the major, let's say, postulate of sovereign of modern TRIZ is that all, let's say, man-made systems evolve according to the same regularities. And I've been, again, 30 years every day, both in engineering and technology, as well as in business and management. And I see very strong correlation between evolution of business systems and technical systems or engineered systems, I can say. Why? Well, it is very simple. We perceive the surrounding world, those especially who are engineers or who are trained business professionals, as a chains of certain events, causes and effects, which are happening within certain borders. And these events are produced by links between certain components. And those components can be grouped and aggregated into systems. So you know that one of the major concepts of an engineering TRIZ is the law of a minimal technical system, which is, you probably remember, consists of 4 parts. I don't bring it to the slides. So those who study TRIZ know it. You have engine or energy converter, you have transmission, you have control unit, and you have working unit. We decided to make the same for business. Here, what you see on the screen is something you probably might not seen before. I'm the author of this image. This is a concept of a business system, minimally viable business system. Your business system is inside of this blue box, which consists of 5 components. First of all, you get a sort of a supply engine. You create business when you add value. Oh, you can say create value, but always creating value is basically adding value to something else. I didn't invent TRIZ. TRIZ was invented by Johann Schuller. It was improved by my colleagues and partners, my teachers. They are all can be considered as suppliers. So I have a supply engine which must bring from outside something on which I will add value. So I have a supply engine, I have value added engine, and then I have, when I added value and created a sort of product, I must deliver it to the customer. So I must have a channel, which is what we call delivery engine. It's not just a channel. It's also the processes behind all these key business processes, which define or identify how things are happening. Certainly we have management and control. And I just put very important things. And once you have your business, it could be an organization. Think it's about organization. It has assets. And definitely one of the core assets is people, which I put outside. Then what do you have? You create your product and you deliver it as a value proposition to your customer. And in the super system, you have some other components which are essential. Without them, your business system may not exist or operate successfully. It's finances, it's state-controlled tax office, and it's a supplier. Suppliers are always there. Either you pay them or you don't pay them. And of course, there might be, I put it in dashed area. Well, for startups, it's important. Cash sources, which are coming from, investors and so on. All right. So we use this model, to build, to identify the business model, by the way. You can also correlate it with business canvas, business model canvas. But again, today I give an overview of what we have. What is important that based on this approach, today we have a business TRIZ which has a large portfolio of tools already, which are broken into 3 large parts. First, we have processing tools to solve specific problems and challenges. Second, we have processes and tools to discover innovation potential of business systems and business products. Here, we're also talking about disruptive cost reduction. And the third large area is where we are talking about the future road mapping and forecasting. We know trends of business systems evolution. You know, in technology, we have trends of technical systems or engineering systems evolution. Here in TRIZ, we have in business TRIZ, we call it business TRIZ, by the way. It's just a shortened TRIZ for business and management. We shorten it as a business TRIZ. So that's easier. So, and each of these circles, which is shown on a previous slide, has portfolios and packages of tools and processes. And you see, we have quite a lot of them today. Here, I only on this slide showed the tools, essential tools for each of the areas. And I will also give you some examples of some of them. Very general, but I will do that. So the question is that, well, what's the matter? We have TRIZ. We have, if you look at the, let's say, technical TRIZ or engineering TRIZ, you will see almost the same tools. It's not exactly so. Like I said, the TRIZ works for innovation. In my assumption is that TRIZ works for innovation of any man-made system. What is man-made system? Anything made by man, artificially. We are talking about engineering systems. We are talking about business systems. We are talking about social systems. We are talking about art systems, and so on. Which means that, well, basically, if we all think in systems, and we all, when we have a certain problem, we have to change our system. So the problem disappears. And basically, the patterns of system change at the abstract level are practically the same. Either you want to eliminate a problem in your car, or you want to eliminate a problem in your company. That sounds, some people don't like it, yeah, what I say. But you might like it, you might not, but it works. However, of course, the degree of uncertainty in a social systems is much higher. So that's why when people ask me, Valeri, do you work with social systems? I say only with a trusted customer or a trusted partner. Because, of course, the same principles like in, we apply in business systems or we apply in engineering systems, it would be very hard to apply in social systems. Social systems are much more sensible and much more unpredictable. Also, again, the core ideas would be the same. The core paradigms would be the same, but they require adaptation. And this is one of the reasons why technical TRIZ fails when you try to apply it to business problems, let's say, or business challenges, or new business innovation. Because technical TRIZ is written in the language of engineers. It was created by engineers and for engineers. But of course, if you already have a long experience with TRIZ, to you, it won't be that difficult to deal with business challenges by using, let's say, classical TRIZ. However, if you use tools of classical TRIZ and apply them to business problems, and you do not have enough experience with TRIZ, you will experience a cognitive dissonance, because the languages are different. That's why we actually did a lot of adaptation. We adapted 40 inventive principles. In TRIZ, we do not use Altshuler contradiction matrix. Well, today we use two matrices. One is business matrix 3.0 by Darrell Mann. And we also use matrix from animation from David Conley. Rather than cause and effect chain analysis and technical TRIZ, we use root conflict analysis. Resources are very different resources analysis in business TRIZ and in technical TRIZ. Function analysis was also adopted because Classical TRIZ function analysis works with tangible things, but in business and services especially, we deal with a lot of intangibles. So the question was, how do we deal with intangibles? How do we deal with functions in iron systems? Functions very clear. A acts on B and B changes or doesn't change. However, it cannot be a situation when A acts on B, it's a function, and nothing happens with B. But in business trees, it is important, because if an operator just watches some manufacturing at a plant, manufacturing process, well, his task is to observe if something strange starts happening. But at the same time, he doesn't change the process at all. He doesn't maintain this process, nothing. But he does work, and this is very important. And this work translates to money. The hours he spends just on by observing the process cost money, and this brings to the formula of ideality. So it looks like, from the point of classical function analysis, an operator doesn't do any function, but it's not in a business trace. In a business trace, function, if there is work, there is function. We also changed standard inventive solutions. Instead of a substance fields model, we have object fields models. And we have totally new classification and categorization of inventive standard solutions. Such techniques as a feature transfer, function-oriented search, they remained almost the same, but they were also terminologically adapted to more understanding by business people. Also in TRIZ, like I already mentioned, we have lost trends and lines of technical systems evolution. Here we have an adapted version for business systems and products. Some laws, some trends are the same. However, there are some new trends which are absolutely absent in a technical TRIZ or engineering TRIZ. Yeah, for example, a line of evolution of a customer experience. Well, this has nothing to do with technologies. Finally, Aries. Well, you know that Aries has been always a key tool of TRIZ. Actually, the word TRIZ didn't exist for the first 15 years. There was Aries, and only then it became TRIZ. Here with Aries, first of all, let's say frankly that the version of Aries, which is in a classical TRIZ, Aries 85B or C, it doesn't work with business, because this Aries version is very strongly relates to physics and chemistry. And it is tuned for being using chemical and physical effects. There is no direct analogy in business. Second, when do we use Aries in TRIZ? Well, by Altshuler, we use it only when we may not or cannot find a solution with some other tools. Only then we use Aries. My experience with searching for solutions of TRIZ and of hundreds of my customers already in business and management areas shows that we simply don't need Aries. Most of the solutions are found without Aries. So, do we need Aries? That's for business and management. Of course, if you Google, especially in Russian languages, you can see some Arieses for business problems. So, at this moment, I might say nothing. Well, in my opinion, they're just not needed. We have other tools which do the job. Well, this is just an example to show how the system of inventive principles was changed. Completely changed the contents of these principles, changed the titles of the principles. And well, this is how the principle looks in the Altshuler books. Segmentation, 3 recommendations. This is how a version of principles for business looks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Rather than 3, there are 7 recommendations. And of course, all the examples are coming from business. So current system of 40 principles consists of 40 principles and 190 recommendations. So it's quite a lot. So it's really extended. New tools which I use. root conflict analysis, value conflict mapping, multi-screen analysis. Well, actually, multi-screen analysis is a tool built on, I know, I'm sure all you know, this system operator. It's just a more systematic use of a system operator. And finally, business model contradiction navigator, which navigates between known business models, depending on the contradiction you have. It suggests you, if you have a certain contradiction, it suggests that it can be solved or eliminated by this or this or this business model. Right. So now I want to jump to some examples and cases. Again, very briefly. But let us, since we have here the TRIZ enabled audience, where I'm sure everybody has or had some already experience with TRIZ, let's start with some very fundamental basic things. We already say that TRIZ is possible because, and TRIZ is effective, and TRIZ is productive because TRIZ is based on the laws of systems evolution and understanding how systems evolve. Well, all you know probably the S-curve evolution, one of the major fundamental paradigms in TRIZ, technical TRIZ. I must assure you that the same paradigm is valid for business. When you create, I'm talking about creation of business. It could also move to services, I show. But first of all, let's say you start a company, you create your business. Then you go to the market, you start selling your product, you get revenues, and you start quickly growing if your product is successful. And then you go to plateau, where, okay, your product is selling, you already captured your market, you introduced some changes, you fight with competitors, you go to the red ocean, and finally, your competitors create more, add more value than you, or cut more prices, bring their businesses or their production to whatever countries, and you fail on the market. So this is exactly same S-curve. When you speak about S-curve for some technical product, there could be different parameters on this axis, on the y-axis. However, when you speak about a business, there is only one parameter for every company in this world. I mean, of course, the commercial company. That's the market value of your company. That's what is happening with your market value. There are more models we use in business trees today. Again, I will not stop on the slide, just showing the highlight, where the S-curve is just one S-curves, but which correlates with some other, like a power of market offerings, specific cost ratio, market share, and so on. So they all correlate with each other. We can do innovation within the existing S-curve, and we can move to the next S-curve. So create a product or a service of a new generation. It is possible by two ways. Well, first is very famous very famous case from Netflix. Netflix used to rent VHS tapes, and DVDs. And in 2002, they jumped to a new service. They started to stream the services, stream videos. It was a huge change. However, there is still the same videos, the same movies, music videos, etc. The way is how you deliver it. So that's a platform change. So this is not a TRIZ picture, this picture from some other website. So let's see, this side I show the history of message delivery evolution by S-curves. New S-curves, or transition to a next generation S-curve, is added due to platform change. Postal mail, phone messaging, fax machine, electronic mail, e-messaging. And each of these transitions, we add a certain or improve drastically a certain main or key parameter of value. You see, it's all here: speed, image sharing, costs, and so on. So this is one way of innovating services. You change a platform, and as a result, you either radically improve certain main parameter of value, or you create a new one. Like when you moved from the phone messaging to fax machine, well, now you can share the image. The image could not be shared through phone. I mean, phone devices, etc., platform which existed. The second way is to transit, to go to new MPV's creation. This evolution of a bank, right? Of a lending, let's say, service. Again, I will not to get to all the details here, but we go from short debt to a long debt. We create bank, we bring new key parameters of value. Like we can make transactions now, we can store savings, we can grow our money actually on deposits. Bank ensures safety. Then we go to investment bank. Rather than loans, we get investments. Then we move to all-in-one care packages. Now we have refinancing services, asset management, insurance, and personalization. Bank works directly with you and takes care about all your financial issues. Finally, you go to venture funds where you co-own and so on and co-manage. Today, we are moving to fintech, more from banks. And the idea is that banks will simply disappear because we won't need them. There will be sort of a peer-to-peer transactions. There will be crowdfundings, whatever it is. We also move to cryptocurrencies and so on. So there's plenty of things. So you see what's the difference? Here we change the platform and we either increase some value of some parameter, or we actually do not need to change the platform. We just add some new parameter of value or radically increase the existing one. But again, this is difficult. Usually today you mostly do this by combination of a platform innovation and the new MPV emergence innovation. Now here is summarized what happens. So within the same S-curve, what you can do, of course, you can still do incremental innovations within the same S-curve. You can considerably increase quality, performance, or value some MPV. You can eliminate critical disadvantages and harmful effects. You can considerably improve or add new user experience. And you can move to creating a new S-curve, a new generation. Disruptive innovation, radically cut costs while preserving key MPVs. Replace a core principle behind service delivery. Add new services to the existing service. And finally, well, you create a new blue ocean service. So you move away completely from your competitors. Now, that was a very quick dive into the S-curve. So we just wanted to show you that this S-curve also works for services and for businesses. Of course, there are some changes, some adaptations. There are, like they say that the devil is in details. So that's why it is important that business TRIZ can be only successful when we speak the same language and we have examples and cases from business, not from technology. Because again, a large part of a process where we come up with new creative solutions depends on our creativity, and our creativity is a result of not just inspiration, but also a result of our knowledge, right? Or information, and the ability to find the right information at the right time. So only inspiration is not enough. And today, of course, we also need to know the market. Oh, that's a lot of stuff to have a sort of 360 view, probably what I'm talking about, and so forth. Now, let's see very quickly some typical process and tools which we are using. First of all, like I said, the level one was solving a specific problem, but usually we do it after we already analyze what we have. So innovation potential discovery. Well, sometimes I have a customer who say, Valeri, our company is this and that. We do not have a problem, but we want to improve. And we want to improve innovatively. So to step away from our competitors. Well, in this case, the process is rather similar to what we do in technical TRIZ. But first, we have a business system. We analyze our business model. We built a business model, actually identified a pain zone. Next step, we model a part of the process where we identify the pain zone. Then we build a functional model of a system which supports this part of the process. And then by providing function model, we also identify problems which are either ineffective or harmful functions in the system. And then we can move to other scenarios. Either we can rank the problems and start with most critical ones, or we can go to trimming after we create value cost chart or diagram. Well, some simple examples. Well, this is just to show how tools look like. Oops, I'm sorry, that's left in Russian anyway. Probably it would be better, it would be Chinese, but I'm sorry. That was incorrect picture insert. Anyway, that was a middle ball. You have a small cafe, let's say, and you want to improve it. This is your cafes, it's business model canvas of your cafes. And you identify that most of the problems happens when the in the process of customer ordering the coffee and delivering the coffee to the customer. So this is a this is a business model and process model. Well, you see it, you probably recognize it. It's not TRIZ, it's a BPMN. We use BPMN today to model the process. Also, you know, there is functional analysis of process in TRIZ, but I believe so business people, well, for business systems, we already can use BPMN notation. And this good thing that many companies, especially larger companies, they already have it. But again, to identify the problems in this BPMN is very hard because it only shows some flows, very general. So where we identify problems, we build a function model of a system which stands behind this process. Yeah, that's like it. Again, if you notice that it's slightly different from what you already used to, there are some different shapes, for example. Yes, this is a function model, TRIZ functional model or analysis adapted to intangibles, dealing with intangibles and dealing with in the systems. For instance, you can see such things as decision here. Yeah, so that's or order. Well, okay, price, also a component of a business system. So you see, and here you have the major components and all sorts of problems which are identified with a red line, dashed line, dotted lines, and so on. So many problems, simple process, but many problems. Then, of course, you can rank them and solve. But you can also do the trimming well, I will show you something else. First, I work with problems. Working with problems, we have a very typical long way established process where we first identify the problem. If we haven't done function analysis, we can do problem perception mapping, Navigator problem questionnaire. We can go to root conflict analysis. Then we can go to 40 inventive principles and contradiction matrix. And then we can go to evaluation of the ideas obtained. We also use today two more tools like function-oriented search and the standard inventive solutions for business and management. So just some examples. Again, from insurance, there was my customer, insurance business with a turnover of 60 million euros. What was happening? One of their customers, critical customers, was decided to leave to move to a competitor. They would be losing 10 million euro per year, 15% of total sales. So this is a typical a problem which has nothing to do with a new service offering or something. That's a problem which had to be addressed. So we used innovation value stream analysis to understand why he's leaving. Well, of course, the customer was a company. We did problem perception mapping, we did root conflict analysis, we applied innovative principles, we generate some ideas, and we ranked and landscaped the ideas. So the time to get results were 1 month and implemented within 1 month. So finally, the client remained with the supplier, with us, with that company, sorry. And even more, we found how to increase sales to this customer by 10%. That was a trick where we also offered him something new that neither of our competitors offered this customer. And in this way, we had to find a new service offering, which was not available from any one of the competitors. So this way, what we did, we dropped the price for a major offering, for a major service, and we added on top of it an additional service. And the combination of two services and price became, for the customer, more profitable than if we would be moving to the other competitor. Okay, Jack Hippel asks, why no mention of cause-effect modeling and separation principles in analysis and problem solving? First of all, why do I need cause and effect modeling since I have the RCA Plus? RCA Plus is more powerful than any cause and effect modeling. Jack, you know my development of RCA Plus. You can also find on my website some publications with examples. Cause and effect is already outdated tool. Yeah, so we use the most advanced tools. And second, no mention of separation principles. Well, it's here. Well, I didn't mention them because they are too abstract. They are too abstract. Most of my customers are people who are not 20 years experienced with TRIZ. Also with separation principles, you can find some solutions, but what I do it something different. If you cannot find, if you're TRIZ beginner and you cannot work with this, then you can try the separation principles. Definitely, yes. Okay, let's first further. Well, second example also was a internal business problem. Advertising company of 15 persons. I specifically that example because I often have question, is TRIZ for business or business TRIZ is for big companies only? Not at all. It's even for a single man company would be working well. It doesn't matter. You use it for a big company or use it for a small company. Here, a 15 persons company is definitely a small company, where they were preventing the loss of promising business by tuning out competitors. Actually, the solution found a lot. What happened here is that the government took a certain regulation which strongly negatively affected the way they do business. Well, simply they were placing a big billboards in the middle of a city, of cities. Well, then the government of the country decided that this ruins the look, and they actually were banned to do this. So, but since they were the 90% of their business, they would be simply bankrupted. Well, on one hand, you have a contradiction. On one hand, you must have the large advertisements in the center of the city. On the other hand, you might not have them because it's forbidden, it's banned. What to do? Well, might say that was about 20 years ago, one of my first consulting. And we simply decided that they moved to place advertisements on the large tracks, on the large buses, which are moving inside in the middle of the city. So formally, the government decision was supported. No more big billboards. And this is still the image. The billboards were put on the moving vehicles. Okay, that was just took one day, implemented 1 month, and it works, still works. Okay, cutting costs. It's also cutting costs, which is probably like 40% of all the customers coming for help. Again, you can cut cost for a process, you can cut cost of a system which delivers a process, and you can cut both. Here I only show you the example. One of it's also not a big insurance company, just with big revenues, 120 million, but the company is rather small and private. They decided to bring a new type of insurance to insure something new that they never insured before. And this actually was insured, was already, let's say, expensive boats, luxury boats. But luxury boats are already insured by big banks. However, they decided to add value by adding additional services, not just to insurances of the luxury boats, but also adding some extra services, which are very nice, in fact. The question is, how do you create a base of potential customers? First of all, you need to do advertisement. You need to look for, and many of these people, they decide to stay anonymous, and so forth. So they calculated how much time and money they would need to spend to create this base from scratch, from zero. And it's really, really was. And they actually turned to me. And we started to work on it. And a principle of merging again worked. Again, you see, we had system operator, we had problem perception mapping, root conflict analysis, resource analysis. We even don't use 40 principles because what to do has become clear very, very, very soon. So the solution was that to buy a company which already had the required customer base. Well, how? Well, what sort of company? Well, you can understand. You can actually easily say who might have the customer base of the owners of these luxury boats. Those who fix these boats. Yes. Let's move further. Another bank with 10 billion euros. We also did some analysis, which was a function analysis and trimming. Very famous tools to technical TRIZ people. Well, we reduced 13% costs without introduction of new technical tools. So only by transferring functions and removing the components, we managed to reduce the costs of the operating unit, which was actually 250 people, quite a lot, by 13%. Not bad. And a final example here. Well, I will not talk much about it. We're already moving to a current project which is going, a food retailer with the revenues of 30 billion per year is moving to a new platform. So they created an architecture which supports this new platform. Again, think about the revenue, 30 billion euros, quite large retailer. And the system behind this new platform has fixed costs and has, of course, ongoing costs. And they did not really like the ongoing costs because that would be too much actually. And their margins would have to be increased, which is not good for competition. We've been working on that, well, I just show you very, so this is a process that we took the architecture, represented it in functional way. I'm sorry, I will not show you the details here. And estimated this, the result is 30% cost reduction for a system that are going to support the new platform. 30%. That's what I love in TRIZ. You're not talking about 2%. You're talking about 30%. Final thing that I wanted to show here in this presentation, but I see that there are some comments. Of course, I know as soon as I come to function analysis, from Victor. Victor, let me read it afterwards. That's rather long. When I come to function analysis, here very might be some trouble with it, because first of all, there are several versions of TRIZ function analysis which exist on the market. One is definitely from TRIZ, from Sergei Yakovenko, Alex Lubomirsky, Simon Litwin. There is other versions which are actually fine-tuned by other TRIZ students of Gary Halsula. And sometimes when I show some model, Someone who knows the different one jumps and say, hey, Valerie, you're on. But again, there is no universal agreement on which one is correct. If you certified by MATRIZ, then definitely you should follow the TRIZ function model. That's it. That's all what I can say. If you're certified from someone else, well, you might use a different approach. But Victor, I will come back to that. A final thing, well, I was showing you examples which refer to business system behind innovation. This is an application of a TRIZ trend of evolution, transition to super system. That's how we work. First of all, we work with a tool which is called value conflict mapping and multi-screen analysis. So what we do, let's imagine I want to create a roadmap of future innovations for, let's say, 5-10 years ahead. Not just a standard business and technology or a business roadmap, which you probably know, but a TRIZ roadmap, where I also already put the solutions, ideas of solutions, not ideas of just products, but also ideas which help to create these products or new services. We do that drawing up. First of all, we collect the market requirements, demands, trends. Then we select the objects in our system which are responsible for meeting these trends or non-meeting yet these trends. We identify their attributes and relative values. And then we identify, so we start from a customer trends, what the customer wants. This is our input. Then we map this input into the existing our service structure or system structure. That's not only for services, that could be for other, it could be for technical systems because this tool is universal. And then we identify all the contradictions which block the development of our systems further or block meeting that requirement that we want to meet, but we do not know how. Or there are certain limits which do not let us to meet it at the moment. So again, when we created this contradiction trees, we can either rank and select these contradictions, set the most critical ones. But usually after applying this process, we work with the trends of evolution of business systems. One of the examples, another customer of mine, they decided to use the Uber model for working with the truck drivers, with the cargo movement, right? But there is a huge difference between taxi and cargo. First of all, they make contracts with truck drivers who own the trucks. So currently they have approximately 100 trucks in their parks, but these trucks do not own to them, they own to the truck drivers, by truck drivers. So the task of this company is to organize logistics and all the documentations. And you know, when you use Uber to book your taxi, definitely you don't deal with any papers. However, in dealing with all these cars, you have to deal with a lot of paperwork, all the signatures, etc., and it creates a huge mess. Also, there are some tax issues, etc., etc. So they simply made an analysis. First, they used the multi-screen analysis. Okay, yeah, I will not bring it here. And also the value conflict mapping, where you have contradictions between market demands and business requirements. Well, you have to, let's say, well, simple. You might have like 100 contradictions here. What is a contradiction? Like the drivers must have a high competence of orientation in the routes. So the level of the competence must be high. So the customers will love it. The trucks will arrive in time and deliver the cargo in time. But for us as a business, so it's bad because when the more experienced the truck driver is, the more we have to pay him. The higher price actually he sets up. Contradiction. And you see there could be hundreds of contradictions when you basically make this job. makes this tool, applies this tool. But what is good? Then you can identify for each object in your system, which causes more contradictions. And that definitely would be the object that you have to innovate first. So, for example, here we were, well, I will not get into details again, we already have little time, the solutions, but the solutions is actually bringing, so also there another strong problem in this company is that the papers are still required. And papers, when you have the paperwork, it generates mistakes. So how to reduce the paperwork, how to generate mistakes. So that was moved with this problem is being solved with trends of evolution, not with 40 principles, not with separation principles. You will not get anything by applying them because you have 10 contradictions, different contradictions that you have to solve at once. You can only make it by transition to a next S-curve for this part of your system. Okay. Well, this I can skip. Well, and finally, what I want to say is we were talking about the systems that deliver services. Now we are talking about the services themselves. How we create new services. Well, there is a lovely trend on TRIZ, which is called Trend on Transition to Super System, or someone heard it about the macro level, and which is also known as a mono-bi-poly. Well, there is always convolution. There is sometimes, expansion. There is always sometimes convolution. Let's talk about expansion. What it means? Okay, if you deliver one service, you can deliver two services, then 3 to 4 to 5, but how? Definitely, if you deliver one service, you add another service offering, you will double your cash flow, right? You will create, oh, maybe not double, of course, it depends on prices, but you will create a new revenue stream. So what we do, we increase our market value by or through generating new revenue stream and creating new cash flow. Also by increasing market share, your market share, because you offer something that no one offers or nobody in your area. You can attract new customers, well, which were not interested in the first service, but they're interested in the second one. And you can really capture a new market segment. What are reasons and benefits for doing this? Well, you can share equipment. You can share facilities. You can share time. You can share your competence or your employees. You can share target customer group. Yeah, if the services are, let's say, complementary, then the customer who purchased the first one would like to purchase the second one too. You can share data, knowledge, information, having the same customer base, for example, and completing customer needs cycle, right? If a needs cycle is, well, a simple example with a hotel, you arrive to the hotel, you want to have a shower, you want to have the dinner, not just bed, and so on. You can have to watch TV, and so on. So this needs cycle. And in the morning, you have to leave. So you must have breakfast, and you have to pack your stuff. So this is a whole needs cycle, we call it, from the entrance point to the exit point. This is a model of moving to a super system known as TRIZ. You go from monoservice to biservice or polyservice. You can directly go from mono to poly and so on. You see, that's kind of. Biservices and monoservices could be monofunctional or polyfunctional, either delivering the same function or different functions. Also, monofunctional could be identical, similar, or competing. And a polyfunctional could be diverse and inverse. So let's just have a look at this first part. You run a restaurant, monofunctional. You move to a B service. You run the chain of restaurants. Oh, actually, that's poly already. That's strange. Okay. Usually I have a slide with a B system, but anyway, I think I skipped it for time. And I move directly to poly one. Poly one, it is company runs a chain of identical restaurants. However, next is, which would be even stronger, you run a chain of restaurants, each has a separate cuisine, right? One restaurant is Chinese, another is Indian, sure it is Russian, and so on. Competitive. Well, you run the restaurant, cafe, and fast food outlet. All three compete with each other, right? Competitive service is a service which competes with you on its goal and context, but at the same time is built on a different platform. Fast food outlet is built on a different platform than restaurant. Bistro cafe is also built on a different platform. Diverse. Okay, if the here function is to feed your customer, this is a diverse, so the functions could differ. Company runs restaurant, food store, and movie theater. Or inverse. Well, one thing is to what is feeding customer? A customer consumes calories. What is the opposite function? The inverse function? Customer gives away calories. So the company runs a restaurant, fitness area, and a swimming pool. The same with a room for rent. Room plus room, many rooms. Room plus luxury room, budget room, standard room, luxury room. Hotel room, apartment room, bungalow, and so on. Finally, we have this beautiful picture of Amazon ecosystem of Amazon services. Again, it would be nice, of course, to take time and to analyze it with these mono-bipolar transitions, but I think it might be interesting. But you see the same story. Amazon uses what it shares, customer base. It shares experience. It shares the platform. It shares the competences, right? They're not much moving to totally different areas. All services are somehow close to each other. And if you're talking about a business architecture, it is SOA, SOA, service-oriented architecture, which means that different services in your ecosystem of services could interact with each other. It is called SOA, service-oriented architecture. Okay, I will skip it because we already, well, this is a way just that after expansion, we have convolution. Also convolution of polyservices. And of course, behind each tool and process, we have the steps. Well, again, I only show it to TRIZ now. It's not our goal. Today we had not a tutorial. It's a more demonstration of what we have. This is how we identify. Well, the question here, of course, is to identify what other service you could add, right, to your existing service. Well, it is, again, based on a resource analysis. And your resource is a service provider and the resource of your already existing customer base. So we are precisely on time. I even shortened a bit. Summary, let's have a look. What do we have? You might be interested in what sort of customers I have in the service innovation. This is exactly my segmentation at this moment. Most of my customers are business training. Those who learn business trees. Well, I run training of three levels, all three levels, which I showed you. And of course, 37% are those who want to use and train in what I train. Then I get approximately 20% are business consultants. And business consultants come from all sorts of companies or also even from state organizations. Retail. Definitely I have retail. Well, you saw the supermarkets and other shops. Insurance, 5%. Also 7% healthcare. Again, it's not technical trace. It is, for example, the case, I had a case with oversupply, right, in healthcare. So the oversupply means that they get too much medicine, which has a rather short expiration date, and they have to store it somewhere, which must be very close to them, and they had no facilities. So you see, this is sort of problem. Financing, here I'm talking about fintech or banking, and also I have 4% coming from engineering. And this is primarily companies which produce something and sell themselves. So these 4%, these are people who come from their sales departments and who want to solve some sales problem. Now, sales, of course, also service. Yeah. Now, what is the situation we have right now? Well, some pros. Over the past dozen of years, modern TRIZ has proven its practical efficiency and effectiveness with regards to business service innovation improvement. The tools were and are adapted to the business language and comply with, let's say, perception of business professionals. What we have today, of course, we have a large portfolio of tools, but it's not necessary that all of them are used. Yes, there are different innovation tasks and different innovation tools which support different tasks. So business TRIZ can be used by both SMEs and large organizations. I also tried to include SMEs so you could see with examples. Which are cons? Too few public case demonstrations. I already showed you 5 papers only for 20 years and very little demonstration. If you have some demonstration of TRIZ and service, usually it doesn't have a case. It's just general words, and that's it. Too few papers and videos. Because mostly people like me, we are, well, usually I work 12 hours a day. It's not just because I need to earn money, it's just because I have to fulfill my promises and my plans, right? So that's no time for almost anything else. And another thing why, again, I work 12 hours, again, I have like this year only, I trained 3 groups of 7 groups of level 1, public groups online, 3 groups of level 2, and now 1 group, well, in the middle of level 3. And now the new groups are started. So I would definitely outsource it, but we have a lot of specialists. Many people who learn from me, they are not going to be trainers and do this sort of public training. They learn it for increasing their own competence and skills and apply it to their working places or use them for their own business. So that's why we have this lack of specialists capable of providing training, consulting services. Now, gaps. Well, there are more gaps, just some essential ones. Identify new hidden customer requirements. This is very important when you want to create a new service offerings. On one hand, of course, you can go from the service voice or a product voice. On the other hand, we need to know customer better and to look for GBD, for example, jobs to be done, or something like that. Lack of tools for evaluating the profitability and competitiveness of future service concepts. Lack of case studies in the following areas. Well, service-oriented architecture, like I already showed you, because there are some connections we don't know yet how they work, or software as a service, SaaS, so-called. Lack of cases in the field of services based on integration with IoT. And this is extremely important because the future is here, and we know, as they call it, the future is phygital, physical and digital. Well, I see a lot of work ahead, and definitely I was trying today to be rather compact and at the same time informative. And I thank you very much for joining my presentation, listening to it. And well, I hope one day some of you who would like it will join and learn more about service innovation. The courses are available, and the rest is available too. You can always contact me with questions. You know my address, email address. So thank you very, very much. And we still have, well, 25 minutes for a discussion. I already have some questions there. But before we move to the questions area, I think we always start some new things. What I would like to do is, if it is possible, we have 100 participants here. And if we could, those people, well, I just want to make a picture of all of you. If some of you could enable your video camera, would be great. Because I will make 3 shots. It's fantastic really fantastic to have you all here. Okay, very nice. I will wait for another 10 seconds and then I will make shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10. Wait a second a bit. I'm going to close this and make shots. Now 1 and just a sec. Oh, the pictures have disappeared or whatever. 2. Oh, sorry. We are making history. So and 3. Fantastic. Thank you very much. You can click off your cameras if you wish. Now I want to move to to the chat. Victor. Okay. Jack, I already answered your questions about cause and effect. Victor, it looks like the definition of function used in technological trees, AX upon B to control, maintain certain parameter, can be reconciled with that used to business trees. Let's consider U Valeri, example of the operator monitoring some measurement detection device. This operator is not needed to just monitor the readings of the device. He or she should control some other device system, let's denote it X, when a certain process parameter measured or detected by that measuring device reach a predetermined value. If so, there is a functional chain that looks as follows. Measuring device informs operator, operator controls X. Yes. Victor, I suggest we continue this discussion with you afterwards. Jack Hipple, Jack, we will agree to disagree. My experience is different. Sure. You know, why it is so difficult to bring TRIZ experts and TRIZ masters together? Because everyone has very different experience, even though they learned from the same source. Okay, I will not get into details. Why is it so? But I hope you know what I mean. From Liu Guoning, it looks the minimal business model is pretty similar with the MOM model in smart manufacturing. For example, manufacture, operate, and manage. Also, the super system shall include factors for unexpected case like pandemics. Listen, the super system consists of objects, only objects. Pandemics is not an object. Pandemics caused by some objects. But again, here we're only talking about a minimal system. All the factors, there could be plenty of other objects and other factors. When we're talking about a minimal system, it's a minimal set of components or objects needed for a system to operate. And otherwise, of course, when you model a real situation, then definitely you can include into super system more components, especially acting or influencing. And regarding the MOM model, well, I must admit, I don't know what is MOM model, but I will check it as soon as possible. Thank you. Horst Nachler, Horst, hello. Victor, that would have been my approach as well. Additionally, the operator is not necessary unless some certain event happens that requires action. So He is only necessary for a certain use case. Yes, it's true, but you have to pay for it to him every day and every hour. Don't forget it. So the ideal operator would be an operator which only emerges at the needed moment, then disappears, and is paid just for that fraction of time when he did some action. From Christoph, hello Christoph. +1. Oh, that's good, thank you. Victor, agreed. Song Min Kwan, great fish, thank you very much. Wayne, thank you very much. Horst, thank you, Valerie, for this extensive information and your work in the field of business service trees. And I hope someone of you joins me. Horst, I think you are the candidate. We, by the way, we created the Business Trees Association, biztrees.net, where we are basically trying to bring, just a moment. Oh, it's here, biztrees.net. Yeah. I guess you see my screen. Do you see my screen? I have to check it. Oh, sorry. Where it is? Oh, I'm lost a bit. Oh yeah, no, you don't see my screen. Yeah. Okay. This is IBTA, International Business Trees Association. Joining is free. We also conduct online twice a year business conferences. We even probably will increase. We also conduct the real ones offline. So it just started a year ago, so there is not much information on it, but just keep biztrees.net, keep it in mind. Okay, I'm moving further. Suresh, hello Suresh. Very good attempt and proliferating trees and domains. Congrats, Valerie. Thank you. Magimin, great speech. Thank you. Vitaly, thanks a lot. Thank you, Vitaly. Christoph, Valerie, thank you for your presentation. Would you agree that there is also a significant lack of scientifically and statistically based tools? Fantastic. I always, well, often when you read literature about trees or papers, well, trees as a Russian science, blah, blah, blah. And probably you know that I'm the opposite, quite on the opposite side. Trees is not science yet. It's the beginning of a new science, I can agree. But if today we will apply the criteria accepted in sciences to trees, trees is not scientific at all, although it is based on empirical studies. And these empirical studies were not confirmed with statistics just because the statistics were not gathered during the studies. And I can agree that I would not use the word science as scientific, but I'm still using trees for 30 years, and thousands of my customers are happy with trees for as well. So we're happy with tools, but again, to become a real science, trees needs this layer of support and confirmation. I completely agree. Thomas, thank you. Carl Jung, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Miran, fantastic, interesting topic. What is the core difference between trees for business and for service? Basically, when you speak about the business system itself, there is no difference. The same business system can be used, a structured business system can be used to produce cars and deliver insurance contracts. You need both systems for both. And the relationships are on a functional business level there and there. So from that point of view, there will be no difference at all, almost. But when you go to the product, right, there will be some differences. So the difference on a product, on the value proposition, market side. Either you produce cars or you produce insurance contracts. Because again, here you deal with tangibles and there you deal with intangibles, and there are differences. Okay. Young Yamlin, thank you, Young Yam. Thank you. Christian Turns, thanks. Thank you. Well, I see a lot of. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Christoph says no screen. But I guess now there is a screen. Thanks a lot, Mr. Valeri. Oh, that's a lot of really good, really nice compliments. Thank you. I think this is traditional business model and service blueprinting integrated with innovative TRIZ tool. Very successful. Yeah. If something has been already done, you don't need to discard and throw it away if it works. You can improve it.
The reason why is
So, Christoph, thanks, Valeri, I have to leave. Thank you very much, Christoph. Stay negative, stay healthy, stay negative. Yeah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, I'm just looking for some questions here. I don't read everything, just looking for questions. What trends do you see? So, Anho, hello, Anho. What trends do you see with regards to innovation TRIZ and health services? You see, health services are a huge area, which also includes both intangible innovation and tangible innovation, because you see today, well, actually, health services are moving to this digital environment. Also, there are plenty of technical innovation to making surgeries, to produce diagnostic equipment, etc., etc. We are moving even to totally new area that is called biohacking, which is extremely fast developing today, and of course scares someone. But biohacking, it's improving our bodies with all sorts of different tools. And again, the question is, can biohacking help us to prevent diseases or to prevent spreads of diseases like we have this corona trouble today? If you look at a modern world, the modern human beings becomes very sensitive to changes of the super system. We are growing in a very clean environment where we eat very clean food, we drink extremely clean water, so our immune system is going down. And this is happening in all the developed countries and spreads to the rest of the world, which means we will definitely need more health service. And I see that today, I look at the young people here, for example, in the Netherlands. Well, they don't smoke. Well, sometimes they smoke, but not what you used to. Where in Holland, we have special smoke. Yeah, but mostly they don't smoke. They run. They all love sport. So this is a young and healthy generation compared to what we had in the past. But what it means, they care about themselves. And the more people care about themselves, the more they will require this healthcare service. Because it is more now turning not like a healthcare, but care and health. And by the way, Philips, as Christoph left, is moving to this direction. Not just healthcare, but care and health, where you have care and health both at both sides. This will take probably 50% of our budgets in the future. So my idea, this will immensely expand within the next 20, 30 years. We also have human genome understanding. We have lots of stuff. We have a lot of information already, which can be turned to something like services, etc. That's my personal opinion. Anatoly, thank you very much, Anatoly. Okay, there are so many thanks. I'm really helpful. I'm really happy. Okay, Miuhan, thank you. All right, so I looked at all the guests Questions? Anything else? Any other questions? I believe I put a lot of information on here today. That's already. We have 8 minutes. So I think it's been exhaustive 2 hours. All right. Well, I see that. Well, of course, there is a question. Can you imagine a situation where people become irrelevant? And this is asked by Liu Guoning. I'm sorry if I pronounced it correctly. Irrelevant of what? I mean, the idea is that this be a time, a situation when nothing will depend on people, right? So people will lose a free will. You mean that? Everything will be decided for people.
Okay, may I speak?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, there are four components in your PPT slide.
Yeah.
People is one component.
Yeah.
The other three components are like process and so on,
Oh, yeah.
etc. So, can you imagine a situation where people become irrelevant?
Oh, if you're talking about the certain business services, definitely yes.
Yeah.
Of course, if you look, for instance, at the current systems of artificial intelligence and a bot chat, for example, well, I know one service. It's a marketplace of lawyers, where you go there, you pay some money, and you ask a question, and then they answer your question for you. You pay for the answers. But I know that behind this, there are no people at all. It is AI, which finds similar questions which were asked before, finds the top ranked answers, and simply gives you the top ranked answers. So you decide that you're talking to the lawyer, but in reality, it is AI, and there is no person involved at all. This will grow immensely, believe me. Well, of course, there will be, there will be only a situation when we say when people are needed in the uncertainty situations and the situations of creativity, where you need a sort of creative solution, advice, or something that could not be generated by AIs, then you will be needed people. But whenever everything can be automated and replaced with AI, that will be done, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there is more questions. Yes, Ms. Aklim. Yeah, perhaps all service will reach ideality. I agree with you. Everything will be self-served. Who knows? Yeah, but that's where we are moving. Yeah. Toro Nakagawa. Hello, Toro. A question: do business consultants of other backgrounds are common to adopt some TRIZ? My customer portfolio, especially if you speak about private sector segment, are all sorts of business consultants. Even those who only worked with numbers, figures, and Excels, they're common and excited by TRIZ. Yes. So yes, they come. Pavel Freeman. Pavel, hello. Valerie, thanks a lot for your report. Do you plan to submit a publication based on the materials of your presentation? Maybe. Like I said, it's possible. Yeah. Good idea. An overview is needed, absolutely. But actually, I'm in the process of preparing some other publications right now. So maybe somewhere in the second part of this year. But a good idea. Thank you. Okay, and how? On a separate topic, how is the progress of TRIZ University? Thanks. Oh, that's a fantastic question, because I actually, this activity was taken away from me. I simply had no absolutely time to push it. And the other person who took this activity on himself also took it away from him. So unfortunately, TRIZ University is in the idle state at this moment. And it is clear why. It is clear why, because TRIZ University suggested some training to the topics which are not covered by any certification systems. So the idea of TRIZ University is that we are going to teach new tools to people who already have certificates, let's say level 3. And somehow the reaction or feedback from the potential audience was extremely low. So we did not manage to run these courses. Question is why? This is a separate question, and one of the major reasons is that people do not feel the need, unless they know the tool, they do not feel the need to pay and to be trained with it. So that's a major question, and we simply, with my schedule, I did not have any time to move further. So that was my idea. We established it, but after 2 years, I dropped out a little bit. Sorry. Okay. Very informative PPT. Thank you. Lots of hard work. Do you and your team reach this point? Yes, thank you. There were a few people who asked if recording of this PPT would be shared, as they could not attend the live session. We will think of it. Yes, if they registered, yet yes, definitely. Everybody. And Ho, again, thank you for the update. Hope we can find ways to pursue the idea of TRIZ. Yeah, it's still there. It's still there. Maybe, you know what, and Ho, I think that, there is always, to be successful with something, there are 3 time intervals. Yeah. Time where you early, time where you just in, and the interval where you're too late. And my feeling was that with this idea of TRIZ University, a really sort of postgraduate training, at this moment, we were just too early on the mark. It has to wait a little bit. Right. You mentioned pandemics cannot be defined as object. Why? It changed business model greatly. No, in the super system, the pandemics itself, it's a phenomena. It's not the object. Should we include phenomena? Of course, when we are talking about the current situation, for example, when I do the analysis of impact factors on my system, definitely I include not only objects and a phenomena itself. The trick is that phenomena often can be both in a super system and inside the system. Your personnel also can get ill and get infected, right? So the phenomena is a sort of most of the time it definitely comes from super system. That's no doubt. To define it as an object, again, when I would do the multi-screen analysis, right, I would most likely these phenomena bring to the analysis. Most likely I will, yes. Including phenomena to business trees sounds like adding software to classical trees. Great work at all, thanks. As expected, can it work at all? Well, I already explained my position towards trees in the software. Well, the mostly writing the software 99% is not a creative task, and there are no contradictions. So why do you need trees there? But where trees can apply, it can apply to IT architectures, to systems merging, etc., etc. So on a level higher than just writing the code. And well, you know that there are some few people who work in this area, but I do not see much progress, frankly speaking. The same is about including phenomena to business trees. Well, we will see. We will see. So far, it works. Wang Fu, dear Valerie, how to use trees in business internationalization? Any recommended TRIZ tools? I would not recommend TRIZ tools here, but I would recommend great works of anthropologists and business anthropologists who have nothing to, actually they know about TRIZ because they know about me. I was at their houses. For instance, Gert Hofstede, the Dutch scientists and psychologists who study the different cultures. They study different cultural codes, and they study also what is difference between cultures. For example, if I want to establish a company tomorrow, my daughter company, let's say in China, the right way would be not to go directly to China and not to deal that, but to go to the institute, consulting institute created by these guys, and I was there, and ask their advice. And they would look at my business profile. They will be looking at the service offering. They will be looking at different aspects like, copyright, things like that, market protection, and because they know the culture in China. And then will advise me, first of all, to go or not to go. So the traffic light, green or red. Second, if I want to go, what shall I do? So, however, in many cases, there might be contradictions emerging between these local cultures aspects. Absolutely, TRIZ can be used 100%, and especially those who deal with systems analysis, functions, and contradiction elimination. These tools 100% work. But again, you need the first step. Before applying TRIZ tools, you have to understand the problem. And this can only be done by someone who is an expert in a problem, not by you as a TRIZ consultant, unless you know the other culture. So, ladies, gentlemen, looking at watch, we are 3 minutes behind. So, I thank you once again very, very much for joining today. Victor, I don't know if you want to say something.
First of all, I would like to thank you, Valerie, for this very informative presentation. Again, I would like to thank everyone who stayed for 2 hours and listened to it. I'm sure they found it fascinating. And if we're going to continue with this series of webinars on new developments in TRIZ. We don't know exactly when the next seminar is going to be scheduled, most likely within the next 2 to 3 months. It will be announced in advance. If you have any suggestions on how to make these interactive webinars more effective, more informative, please let us know. You can send your suggestions, recommendations either to Valerie or to me or to some people at MATRIZ, and eventually they will find their way to the TRIZ R&D Council. Well, Valerie, thank you again. And we all, Valerie, myself, and our colleagues look forward to seeing all of you at our next event. Take care, everyone.
Thank you very much, Victor. Thank you very much again, everybody who visited us. And till the next webinar, stay healthy and take care. Everybody, bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye, Valerie.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care. And most important, stay negative.
As always.
Yep. Bye, Victor.
Thank you, Valeri.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Valeri.
Most welcome.
Thank you and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Welcome.
Thank you and bye, Valeri.
Welcome, Pavel. Welcome.